What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. And today I will be predicting what will happen with the UFAs this offseason. So let's jump right into it, and we're going to start with a big clump of Washington Capitals. The first one being Braden Holtby. And I think that Braden Holtby will go to a new team. I don't think he'll resign. I do not think that the Caps have the money to pay him, and there are other teams in need of goaltending right now, and the Caps have Samsonov, who looks very promising, so I think that he will leave. Moving on to the second, we have Brendan Dillon, and I think he'll stay if he pans out with John Carlson in this year's playoffs. Then they could sign him to a low deal, and I could see him staying. Number 3 is Ilya Kovalchuk, and it really seems like he found a home with the Caps. I really like Kovalchuk. He looks really good in the Caps uniform on the ice. I think he's a great fit, and he will stay. The fourth Cap is Radko Gudas, and Gudas is a very physical guy, and if the Caps can agree to a low deal, not paying him much cap hit, then I could see him staying. Now moving on to 3 Bruins, starting with Zdeno Chara, and if he chooses to stay in the league, which I think he will, then 100% he will stay with the Bruins. I don't see him wearing any jersey except the Bruins one, even though he did play for 2 teams before them, but still, I think he will stay. Moving on to Yaroslav Halak, and Halak, he has been very good in Boston, but they have Tuukka Rask. I think that he will stay, but if he leaves, I don't think Boston will be hurt too much. And the third Bruin being Torrey Krug. And Krug, I think, will want a big raise this offseason, and I don't think that the Bruins can provide that. So I think he will go to another team. Maybe a team like Detroit or Ottawa can use his services, but I don't see him staying the Bruin. Moving on to the Panthers, starting with Erik Haula. And Erik Haula is an interesting case. He's this very annoying, little physical guy, and I think that he will stay with the Panthers. From what I've seen, he looks pretty good there. And I don't know, I think he will stay, but I think most of it depends whether or not he'll pan out in the playoffs. Moving along, we have Mike Hoffman. And Hoffman will want a very big raise, I think. I do not think that Florida can pay him, and I think that he will have to go. But if they don't pay him, they'll have more cap to pay Haula and this guy, Evgeny Dadonov. I think that Dadonov will stay as a Panther. If they don't have to pay Hoffman, I think they will pay Dadonov. And I think that Dadonov will remain in the Panthers uniform. Moving on to 2 Hurricanes, starting with Sami Vatanen. And once again, here's a little trend I have. If they pan out in the playoffs, they're probably staying. But if they don't, then they'll sign with another team. And if Vatanen pans out in the playoffs, then I think that he will stay a Hurricane. And then we have Justin Williams, who retired last season and then made a comeback. I don't think he'll retire again this season, and I don't think he'll want to go to any other team except Carolina, so I see him staying a Hurricane. Moving on to a pair of Canucks, starting with Jacob Markstrom. And he was traded there in the Roberto Luongo deal, and I think he's been great for them, and I think he wants to stay a Canuck, and I think that Vancouver will be able to pay him. The second guy being Tyler Toffoli, and out of the small sample that he had with the Canucks, Toffoli looked really good, and I think that Toffoli will want to stay a Canuck. If they can pay him, then 100% I see him staying. Moving on to the Leafs, starting with Tyson Barrie. And Barrie is a very good defenseman, he will want to get paid, and I don't know, Toronto just cannot offer him the money he wants. So unfortunately, I do see him leaving the Leafs organization. But the second of the two being Jason Spezza. And Spezza has been playing really well in Toronto, surprisingly. He is on the fourth line, but still, he's putting up some decent points. And I think that he will want to remain a Leaf. Moving on to a pair of Predators, we have Craig Smith. And Smith has been in the organization for quite some time. I think he's a great Predator. I mean, Nashville Predator. I don't mean physically, but I think he will want to stay with Nashville. The second of the two being Mikael Granlund. And Granlund, he was a great player in Minnesota, but once being traded to Nashville in exchange for Kevin Fiala, he has just not been the same. I don't know where the magic is, but it's just not there. I think he will want a fresh start with a new team, and I don't see him remaining in Nashville. And now we're just gonna do one per team until we get to the 25th and the last free agent I want to talk about. Starting with the Vegas Golden Knights and Robin Lehner. I mean, I think he only played one game for them, but he had a shutout in that game, which is amazing. We'll see what happens in the playoffs, but if he performs really well, then I could see him staying. But at the same time, they also have Fleury, and that would be a great duo. But I think he will stay. Moving on to the New York Islanders and Thomas Greiss. And Greiss has been a great goalie, and if you would have asked me a few weeks ago if I thought he would resign, I would say absolutely. But now that they signed Ilya Sorokin, I don't think that the Islanders will necessarily make too big of an effort to keep him. I think Sorokin and Varlamov will be great together, and I don't know, if they lose Greiss, I don't think they'll be too mad about it. Moving on to the Penguins and Justin Schultz. And I feel like Schultz, he wants like a top role. He wants to be like a number one guy on the team. And unfortunately, Pittsburgh has Chris Letang, so he can't really do that. Also, he'll probably want a big raise, and Pittsburgh also can't give him that. So I think that he will move to a new team. Moving along to the Flames, we have TJ Brody. And I feel like Brody, he has been a good defenseman, but they have Giordano, so if they lose him, I don't think they'll be too mad. But I don't know why, but I just feel like he'll sign with another team. Moving along to Ottawa, we have Mark Borowiecki. And I'm not sure if I pronounced his name correctly, but still, he's been a very physical, very great player. And if he returns to Ottawa, which I think he will, then they might even name him captain, because he's been in the organization for quite some time now, and I think he will want to stay a Senator. Moving along to the St. Louis Blues, Alex Pietrangelo. And he is the captain. He's been in the organization for a long time, and I feel like St. Louis will make an effort to keep him. I think that they'll want him to stay, but even if he doesn't, then I guess their defense is still pretty solid. But I think that Pietrangelo will stay a St. Louis Blue. And finishing off with the final 25th free agent, I think he's the biggest fish in the pond right now, if that makes sense, Taylor Hall. And the reason why I picked Hall over Pietrangelo is because I think that Pietrangelo is more likely to stay, and Hall is more likely to sign with another team. I think that the Coyotes and Hall, I mean, he has been pretty good for them, but I don't think that's quite where he wants to be. I think he wants to get a lot of money, so he'll go to a team that has a lot of cap, and also he wants to be on a competitive team. So, I mean, the only team that I can think of that has both of those things is Colorado. They have tons of cap space left, and they're a pretty good team themselves. So, I can only imagine how good Colorado will be with Taylor Hall. that would just be something. So that is it for this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed. Like this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more hockey content. I'll see you guys next time. Let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it hockey.